Your second Illustrator option for your final project is a Paul Frank monkey. Well, let's take a look at exactly kind of what a Paul Frank monkey is. If you were to do a Google image search for Paul Frank monkey, you would see something that looks like this. All right, Paul Frank is a designer, and this little character that he has made shows up in clothing and in toys and notebooks and notepads and things like that. So this is what we're going to work on making on this option. If you choose this Paul Frank monkey option, you're trying to make it look as much as possible like what you see here. Now I also have over here on my website, I have all the requirements for this, and I have an example that I did in Adobe Illustrator. So you can kind of look at it a lot and try to get yours to look as much like the one that you see as possible. Let's look at the requirements here. We'll click on the requirement link. You have to build the entire thing in Adobe Illustrator, so it's all made of shapes, ovals, you know, whatever you need to get the job done. The goal is to make your monkey look like the Paul Frank monkey as much as possible, and I do have an example on my website. All right, now when you're saving your work, save on your network drive, and remember how this naming thing works. This is your final project. This is an Illustrator option, and you're making the monkey. So just take those three ideas, excuse me, Final, Illustrator, Monkey, excuse me, and that's going to be the file name. And when you get done, if you choose this option, you would submit it on My Big Campus on the assignment that is designated Final Illustrator, because remember, and I'll go back here and show you, this is one of the Illustrator options. You have to pick one of these, the robot, the monkey, or the minion. You have to do one of these. So if you pick the monkey, that's what I'm showing you right now. Now here's an example. If I click this and scroll this down, this is one that I made in Adobe Illustrator. It looks pretty much like the Paul Frank monkey that you saw on Google. And you can look at this as much as you want, or you can do a Google image search for Paul Frank monkey and you'll see examples there. So you're shooting to try and make it look as much like this as possible. All right, well, let's get over to Adobe Illustrator here and take a look. Now I'm in Illustrator, and this is the monkey that I created using Adobe Illustrator. So when you get started on this, you'll click File and click New and start with a new artboard. I like landscape orientation. You do what you prefer. All right, now I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I do have some tips here that I would like to share with you. Let's talk about the head shape a little bit. You see how the head shape is, it's not really an oval, it's kind of an adjusted or an altered oval. I'll start with an oval. I'll draw an oval right here, and I'm going to fill this up with black. All right, looks good. Now, to alter the shape of the oval, I'm going to use the white arrow tool and select this bottom handle. Just click and drag a little frame around that bottom handle, and I'm going to pull it down some. I want to kind of elongate that bottom part of the oval. Now I'm going to click on this left handle and pull it in a little bit. I don't want the head to be quite that wide. Same thing on the right. I'm going to pull it in a little bit, kind of like this. Now this head shape's starting to come around. It's starting to be pretty close to what I want here. I could take this top part and either pull it, you know, whatever looks as close as you can get it here. And I could pull these control handles and curve that a little bit more, and we're getting to where we're in pretty good shape, pretty much happy with the shape that I'm getting. So it's something like that, and again, always look back at the example and try to get it as good as you feel like you can get it. I could even kind of angle these, take these control handles and pinch them in just a little bit to give a little more angle on the bottom part of the head. All right, now that looks pretty decent. But look at how this is put together. There's black and then there's tan on top of it. All right, well, I'm going to Alt drag that so I have another copy of it. And I'll make it a little bit smaller, all right, just kind of sizing it down some. And I'm going to fill it with a tan color. And I'll just double click on my fill box and get a tan color here. And I might even add that to my color swatches. All right. Except that I'll just use that tan color right there. That's good enough. I'll just use that tan color off of there. Now I'm going to take this and just lay it in here so it's kind of superimposed right on top of that. So we're getting pretty close to what we want. Not too bad. And I'm kind of hurrying here. I'm doing a fast version of this. All right, so we've got a good start here. I really would kind of have to tweak that a little bit to make it look a little bit better. It's not perfect, but you're getting the idea. All right, now let's kind of move on to the mouth part of it here. The mouth really is kind of a big wide oval to begin with, and if you go back and look at the example that you're working off of, this big wide oval is tan in color. All right, so I'm going to take that and I'll just kind of lay it down here, and we want the bottom of the head to kind of disappear behind that oval. I'm going to make it a little bit wider and a little bit thicker here. All right, so that doesn't look too terribly bad. And again, you know, I'm not getting this perfect on this example. I would really kind of need to tweak this yet a little bit if I were going to turn this in. Now, what about the red part of the mouth? How are we going to accomplish that? You see it's got points on the end of it, but it's curved on the top. Well, here's a pretty quick and easy way to do that. If you draw an oval, kind of a flat oval like this one, and I'm going to take my selection tool and alt drag that and just kind of get these ovals so they're overlapping with each other. And you see this area right in the middle. Well, I'm going to use the Pathfinder. I've got the Pathfinder open, and I'm going to do an intersect. It's the third button. That leaves me this shape, which is exactly what I wanted. Curved on top and bottom, points on the end. That's perfect. I'll go ahead and fill it with red. Now I can use my black arrow and just lay this in and make it a little bit bigger as desired. Now again, you ought to look back at the example a lot and try to get yours to look as much like the Paul Frank monkey example. You could even do a Google search if you don't want to use mine. You do a Google search for a Paul Frank monkey. Look at it that way. Well, not much more to show you here. Little trick on the ears. I'm going to make an oval, fill it with black. I'm going to alt drag that oval, hold the alt key and drag it, and make this one a little bit smaller. I'm going to fill this one with that tan color that I'm using here, and I'll lay it right on top of that black one, kind of like that. I think I'll group those together because I don't want them to come apart, so I'll go to Object and go to Group. I'm going to rotate those just a little bit and bring them over to the side of the head and drop them on there. Now the problem we have here is they ought to be behind the head. They don't look good where they are right now. So I'm going to right click, arrange, and send to back. That looks much better. I'm going to alt drag that group. Gives me a second copy. I'll right click, transform, and reflect. I've got preview turned on and it's showing me what it's going to look like. That looks okay to me. So I'll click OK. Drop this in on the opposite side, and the ears are not looking too bad. Now again, I'm hurrying a little bit, so you ought to take your time and try to get it looking as much like the example as you possibly can. Now the only thing left really here are the eyes and the little nose holes, and I'm not going to demonstrate those. Those really aren't hard at all. So those are my tips here for the Paul Frank monkey. Have at it. If you choose this option, off you go.